So we are on our way up to Lookout Mountain, where Chief Lookout is buried. So we are now on the top of Lookout Mountain, and this is where Chief Lookout is buried. He was the longest standing chief of the Osage Tribe, and the last one that's got kind of full blood, I guess you would say. But anyways, maybe they tell a little bit more on this monument over here. But he had several stints where he was elected as the chief. Originally, he was put in by the Department of Interior, and he was put in place as the chief because the Department of Interior removed Chief Baconrind from that position. Pretty interesting. So there's some Osage that still saw Chief Baconrind as a chief and a great man because he did a lot of things for the area, but that was the actual chief. And then you have people that saw him as the chief. This is interesting. There's a 360-degree pan view of this whole area, and back over here is the city of Pawhuska. So let me show you all this. As you can see from the little trees, it is super windy up here. It wasn't windy anywhere else, but we came up here and it got super windy. So way off over there in the distance, that is Pawhuska. That's the whole town of Pawhuska right over there. We came up here last night and it was a fantastic view. You could just see lights. So I wasn't sure if it would translate into a video. But look at this territory down through here. You can see that sort of farmhouse barn deal over there. And if you look over there, that is an old cemetery right there. I would love to go in that, but that cemetery is on private property, and I'm sure it is a family Indian burial ground, and I'm not sure who's in there, but you can actually see one of the round churches that's over there, one of the Osage churches, one of the peyote churches. So that is interesting. Got that old cemetery and that church and this old farm property right here. But up on this mountain, you've got a full view of everything around you. It's a 360-degree view. It's way off in the distance, and I don't know if you can see it or if I can zoom in enough. Those little specks, those are horses out there. And that is way off in the distance. Just to the left, the old peyote church there. So let's go up here and check out this monument to Chief Lookout. So what the Osage do is they like to bury their chiefs and their prominent people on top of these little hills, these little mountains, these little hills that are here. So each chief has a different little mountain. Look here, we've had some kind of critter, some kind of animal rooting around in here. Maybe digging up roots or something. I don't know if this was a little hog doing this or what. Sometimes you'll see hogs doing this, but you could also, it's not extensive damage. It could have been an armadillo or something, but there's a lot of it, so there's a lot of damage rooting around all over. So it's a good thing they have this iron fence here. It's a nice little fence. Not much history told on this. Got an Osage Nation flag there, but it just says Julia Lookout and Fred Lookout. Okay, they do have a little bit of history there. Julia was the great-granddaughter of Chief Pawhuska, I guess. White-haired is what that is. That's where the town gets its name. A true helpmate and devoted mother. And then for Chief Lookout, the last hereditary chief of the Great and Little Osage, served his tribe with wisdom, integrity, and faithfulness. I'll include a few pictures of him mixed in on this. But what a place. If you are going to be buried, is there seriously a better place than this? Up on this little mountain, this little hill, where you can see everything all around you. It's quiet, it's just windy, all you're hearing is wind. But what an awesome place to be buried. Right up here. This is just barely outside of the town of Pawhuska. If you Google Chief Lookout, you can come to this one. The problem with a lot of the other chiefs is that they're buried on family cemeteries up on top of hills. Just heard a rifle shot in the distance, but they're in family cemeteries, so you can't really necessarily go in those. It would be trespassing, but this one, the Lookout family, is fine with you coming in here. And I'm glad that you can. Wish we could go into Chief Bacon Ryan's cemetery, but we can't. We can see where some of his relatives are buried in the Pawhuska Cemetery. This is one of those old style oil wells that makes that kind of popping sound like that. Sometimes when I've taken friends out hunting, they think these are Indian drums, and they're not. This is the sound that you'll hear. This one is a little bit quieter than the other one. There's a little bit of popping, but not much. It's pretty interesting to see that belt driving it there. So this is the old swinging bridge in Pawhuska, and this has been here, if you read the sign, since 1926, and it was refurbished in 1970, so they've added some stability things on here, and you can see Sarah and a few other ladies going across this bridge. This is the only one of its kind in Oklahoma, and I'm surprised that Sarah's going across it. She's really afraid of heights, but it's supposed to wobble and swing and all kinds of stuff, so thought since we were here, we would check it out and experience it. So you can immediately feel the thing creaking and squeaking and bouncing. It feels like maybe what you would imagine being on one of those wrestling mats. But you can feel it going up and down. And Sarah, are you hanging on for dear life? You only get to experience this once, even if the bridge collapses. I mean, this.
That's why I'm not going. You're mean.
It really is cool, though. You can feel it bouncing big time. And you don't even hardly have to step very hard, and it's bouncing. You got it. You're almost halfway across. Well, they just went across. You just don't step on those.
I don't like this. I don't like heights. Oh, this is not good.
Do you remember the scene in Indiana Jones? And you had the little boy that said, "Hang on, lady, we going for a ride."
Hang on, lady, we going for a ride.
And they wrap around the little sides. And then Indiana Jones cuts it, and then they fall, swing to the side. It's kind of what I'm picturing. Got this little river here.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to be sick.
You're going to be sick?
I can't do that.
You're right in the middle of it.
I'm not doing this.
Okay. Sarah's backing out. We'll go across. So I'm not sure how old these boards are. What's interesting is they have paw prints painted in them from who knows how long ago, maybe the 70s when they redid this bridge. But some of the boards have some wood rot, like that one right there. They put some new screws in to kind of reassure you, and if you look at that, look how wobbly and loose that is. So some of these boards you probably shouldn't step on. I'm sure whoever stepped on this about had a heart attack. So hopefully we don't hit any of those. Here's a new board. So they're maintaining it. But you can really, in the middle of this, feel this bouncing. It's pretty cool. Not sure why that's all busted and broken like that. Someone actually try to jump off of this into the water. It's pretty cool though. Old bridge like this. Okay, so I've made it to the other side of this bridge, and there's really nothing on the other side of this bridge. I guess their plans are to do some things and make it into kind of a park, but they haven't yet. But it's still just an interesting experience to walk across this bridge. It's rickety. You don't know if your safety is the top concern, but it's a lot of fun. So we're gonna go back across this bridge. You can immediately hear the boards kind of just creaking, popping, and snapping. And it is definitely bouncing. But you can see, I guess they're keeping it up. Like I said, you have the old screw and the new screw. It's an interesting experience though. Feeling it bounce like this plays with your equilibrium. It is pretty up here. The water is a little murky. I'm not sure if it's like that all the time, but it's pretty. See if we can really get this thing going. It does have a good bounce to it. Like I said, I would watch where you step. They're obviously going to have to replace these boards right here. Thanks for joining me on this little bitty tour of Pawhuska. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next time.